Okay. Go ahead. All righty. What time is it? It is CampoVelo time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, live from the deep in the Carneros region of Browns Valley here in Napa. Welcome to the fourth annual Cliff CampoVelo here in beautiful Napa Valley. My name is Eric Gilsman, and once again, for the fourth year, it's my pleasure to be your host. CampoVelo, sponsored by Gary and Kit and the crew from Cliff Bar, dedicated to bringing people together for an incredible experience, blending the best of food, wine, cycling, and fun in support of No Kid Hungry and the Napa Valley Vine Trail Coalition. In what would have been our fourth year, CampoVelo has had to pivot just a bit, like so much in the last few months. This weekend, we're creating a 3-day, 1 hour each day online experience to hear from John McConnell, Laura Barrett, the rest of the great folks online this weekend. We're going to hear from them about food, wine, cycling, and community. We want to thank all our partners, especially Gary and Kit, Cliff Bar and Company, for doing amazing things during our new world with COVID-19. So thank you to Cliff Family Winery, Vans, Sierra Nevada, ASO Cycling Gear, Giant Bikes, First Republic Bank, Cola Vita, Wahoo, Mad Fritz Brewery, and so many more that have supported us this year as well as the last 3 years. Our format tonight, bringing you special guests for food and wine pairings from our favorite watering hole, Cliff Family Winery. We're going to have questions. If you've got questions, you can go ahead and fill them out and send them in. 3 nights, all at 5 p.m. Now, of course, with so many different good causes going by the wayside with COVID-19, we want to remember the two benefactors of this event, No Kid Hungry and the Napa Valley Vine Trail. What has happened locally here, and you wonder, is my effort, is my money going local here in Napa? What's happened is 454 schools and community groups across all 50 states, as well as Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia, have received over $11.6 million since No Kid Hungry was formed. And it was only formed just a few years ago. Locally here, 2 weeks ago, 13,000 meals were provided by No Kid Hungry. The Napa Unified School District received $25,000 from No Kid Hungry. So it does come full circle where this one event in Napa Valley benefits 50 states here, Puerto Rico and District of Columbia, as well as local. So we're thinking regionally, nationally, and locally here. In just a little bit, I'm going to turn it over to John McConnell and Laura Barrett from Cliff Family Winery. Once again, we want to thank Cliff, Giant, ASO Cycling Clothing, Cliff Family Winery, Cola Vita, Olive Oil. John McConnell, a great cyclist, a couple of years ago did Napa 9. Didn't know if he was going to wake up the next day, but he did. He's leaned out, a lean machine. Laura, a skier by trade, originally from Massachusetts, so we'll hear from them. Welcome, Cliff Family Winery, Laura and John. How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
All right, there you go. So, although I don't indulge myself, but here we go. We've got some of your great wine right here. Root Blanc. There you go. So, Laura, you have been with Cliff Family Winery since November of 2014. Your first full grow in 2015, from grape to the wine to harvest. How are things going over there up in St. Helena?
Things are going great. I've been at Cliff Family for a little over 5 years now, and this is definitely a unique year. But winemaking is moving along as it should. So the scene here, kind of, Mother Nature doesn't stop for COVID-19, so the grapevines are growing, and viticulture and farming are moving forward as planned, obviously with limitations and precautions taking place in the field. But the vines are growing, and we have 10 acres of the state vineyard up on Howell Mountain that are growing nicely this season. And winemaking wise, we're a little more removed, but sometimes that's what the wines appreciate. Sometimes they talk about how one of the best decisions in winemaking is to do nothing. So the wines are getting a little bit more of nothing this time of year under these circumstances, but we're still preserving inventory. Just not as much intervention as we might do under normal circumstances. But we're bottling and moving forward with production and getting ready for another vintage.
You know, Cliff was one of the first Bay Area companies to pretty much shut down. And with that forethought, you can thank your leadership. How has shelter in place been for you personally?
Personally, it's been challenging. I think that being home and not having the activity that we're used to is a struggle. I have two kids that I'm homeschooling as well as working, and it's definitely a difficult balance. But I think we've all appreciated the downtime as well and the ability to spend so much more time with family, be around the house, not feel rushed. I had a moment the other day where I said, God, I haven't felt like in a hurry in so long, and that feels really good. So just slowing down, watching a lot of movies, playing a lot of board games, and doing things that we normally wouldn't take the time to do. I'm grateful for that.
A lot of professional women and men, when they retire, when they are asked what do they miss most about being a pro athlete, they say the locker room, the team, you guys, family, Cliff, the ethos. I know in the endemic industry of endurance, Cliff is an example. It's Wikipedia's example of the ethos that a team wants. Uh, the family winery. Have there been any layoffs, or has Gary and Kit been able to maintain? How's things been going with your team?
Yeah, our team is in great shape. We have everybody here in place. Some people are doing different jobs than they're used to doing, but we're all here and working, and definitely things are different, and we all feel that missing piece of connection. But we all get together on a Zoom meeting twice a week in the mornings for about a half an hour and just check in. And so I think the morale is still really high, and people we're thriving for sure. Everybody personally and as a business. A lot of people are drinking more wine than they normally would under these circumstances. So we
And
just
eating Cliff bars.
yeah, and eating Clif Bars, exactly. We had to shift gears, but we did it gracefully and we did it quickly. So we've moved everybody into kind of this virtual tasting mode and a lot of phone sales. And I think, but definitely we're missing seeing each other. I think when I walked in here this afternoon, Candace said, "I would just wish I could give you a hug." So we're all feeling that, but we're surviving.
You've been able to get out and ride a little?
I'm not a huge cyclist, but I've definitely spent a ton of time outdoors. Done a lot of hiking, tons of walking through vineyards, and combed every square inch of my new neighborhood. And so definitely a lot of outdoor time for sure. And the weather here has been fantastic. So we're really fortunate to have that.
Absolutely. Well, that guy to your left certainly is a cyclist. John McConnell, how are you? How are you, the great head chef, Cliff Family Winery, John McConnell? An adult, but a kid inside, I can tell.
My wife would agree with you on that, Eric. I'm doing well. I will say adaptation has basically been the buzzword for all things COVID 19. And I think that we've done a great job to adapt to kind of a new and a different change of a lifestyle. Obviously, the way that we adopted to our business model. And to Laura's point, everybody's kind of shifted around to wear a different hat. I think to get back to the ethos part of it, we are so well supported as a business and with our coworkers. that everybody has a tremendous amount of support for one another and what they can do to contribute to the bigger picture. And I think for us, it's really kind of the need to return to our community and how we're embellished in that sense and regarded. About 3 weeks ago, the kitchen was opened up, and we are offering a curbside menu out of the kitchen. And for the team, I think you work in a physical, demanding job, and you're almost 100% in demand all the time. So to go from that to nothing at all, or being screeched to a halt, it's very difficult. But to now come back full circle and have purpose and also be in demand again is a great feeling. So I think I can speak for my team, but also everybody else that we work with, to be able to continue to carry the torch and really support the better needs of the business and also be vital to our community, which is certainly one of our higher beliefs. I think it's always a great feeling.
Well said, John. Now, Laura's got 2 kids at home. You've got the 3 in your clan. How are they doing? Are they climbing all over you at times when you're trying to come up with a new menu or something?
I will say the dynamic at home is very unusual these days. It is, depending on the day, I would say my spouse, Claire, who's certainly done her fair share of outreach and making calls, she is definitely the one bringing home the bacon these days. So that said, it's really kind of the shuffle of how her and I can really support our kids. Obviously, and similar to Laura's situation, there is some in-home schooling to be done. And for us, really, it's kind of almost creating a workspace that's comparable to a daycare, classroom, and workspace. And that's certainly an adaptation from the days prior to. So we're well adapted. I think we got a good script, but I think fortunate enough to be in California, we at least have the open space and the air outside to push the kids outdoor or for ourselves as well. So that's been the healthy balance thus far.
I think you said it right, nailed it on the head there. Adaptation. Roach and rat are still around after thousands of years, although the dinosaurs went away because they adapted. And I think now we do need to adapt. And in fact, I was supposed to be in Utah this weekend, and I was going to have another buddy of mine be the host of this event. And just hours before we were setting up this in my garage, we were figuring out wireless earbuds, wired earbuds. It was just all new. So adapting is very important. We're seeing a lot of companies put kits together. We're seeing different fast foods, other companies put their kits together. You guys always adapting, always ahead of the game. Tell us about what you guys are doing. We've got Adventure Awaits gift sets. Can you guys go into that and embellish, please? Laura?
Yes. Essentially, I mean, we've always had a very strong internal gifting program. If you really kind of pull from the product list of which the fabulous wines that Laura makes and also our in-house packaged items as well, we certainly can curate a number of different type of gift sets and mixes. And this really kind of lends itself to just the experience that we try to create with each and every guest that basically comes to on property. So for us, it's really just a curation of things that we feel like are great substitutes to kind of replace the experience of coming in to do a wine tasting with us or even celebrating any aspect. But really to recreate that experience at home with just as few as the ingredients of what we can provide. The good thing is we've already done the R&D and the legwork to establish the pairings, and they work really well. And really, it's just kind of open the wines and open the pouches and really kind of make that pairing. So for us, it's something that was a good default.
Great. So the Adventure Awaits gift set. You can ship a little bit of Napa Valley and Cliff family to your doorstep. CampoVelo participants receive a 20% discount and complimentary shipping. Use code CFWVELO. That's Cliff Family Winery Velo. CFWVELO. It's 7-letter, all capital, CFWVELO to redeem your 20% discount. And that's eligible for purchase through May 31st. So you got a whole month to use that code. Single vineyard bottling does not apply. So what's single vineyard bottling? Tell us just that little term. Educate us on that term, Laura.
Sure. So we have 10 acres of estate vineyards up on Howell Mountain, very close to Kit and Gary's home property. And from the 2 Cabernet sites, we bottle usually around 200 to 250 cases of wine specifically from
That's not a lot.
Individual vineyard. No, it's very, very small, very small. So I made Cabernet from both the Croquet Vineyard and the Cold Springs Vineyard. And typically I'm picking 5 times throughout the course of harvest for those 2 sites. And everything is aged in barrel individually. And then after some aging time, I do a lot of blending trial, blind tasting, and group tasting to figure out how I'm going to put those pieces of the puzzle together. And I take kind of the focal point is to take a small batch from each individual site and bottle it on its own. So it's a representation of that particular vineyard in that vintage. So those are our single vineyard bottlings. So there'll be a Cold Springs vineyard and a Croquet vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon from Howell Mountain.
So on both of those vineyards, do you take cuttings at the same time and plant them in those two spots, and yet they come out being a little bit different because of the sunlight and the appellation and the grade, whether it's facing east or west? Can you talk about how you can take one cutting, put it in two different vineyards, and it will come out a little bit different in sugar content and taste? Can you talk about that?
Sure,
Not that
absolutely.
I know what I'm talking about, but you do.
No, that's okay. It's a great talking point. So these two vineyards are both within the Howell Mountain AVA, which is about probably about 5 miles from here, northeast Napa. And the Howell Mountain AVA is considered 1,400-foot elevation and higher on the mountain. So these two sites, they're in the exact same AVA. They're almost the same elevation, but one is on the south side of the mountain, and one is kind of up and over the hill on the north side of the mountain. And because our Cold Springs vineyard, which is on the south side, has much more exposure to the Napa Valley weather patterns, whereas Croquet vineyard on the north side is a little more exposed to the Pope Valley weather patterns, which is inland a little bit. So that they're only a little over 4 miles apart as the crow flies. So because of that exposure to the marine layer that we experience in the Napa Valley because of the San Francisco Bay, versus the Pope Valley weather, which is a little bit warmer, especially warmer evenings, you get two completely different microclimates, even within a small distance and the same AVA. And then you add the soil components on. The Howell Mountain AVA is 100% volcanic soil. There are a couple different kinds of volcanic soil. One is that really kind of iron-rich red clay type. When you drive through Lake County, you see it. It's just this really deep red, rich clay-based soil. We have that at Croquet, and then we have what we call tufa, which is literally like ash. It's white, powdery, very dusty. And both of them are volcanic in nature, but behave very differently, and a plant can thrive very differently within those two soils. So the combination of the weather pattern and the soil differentiation creates very unique sites, and we can make extremely different wines from these two places. And they're both very similar clones of Cabernet, planted around the same time. So there's a lot of consistencies, but yet the wines can be very different.
Great. John, what's with the Adventure Awaits gift set? When people get that, they get the 2 bottles of wine, but what else are they getting inside the Cliff Adventure Awaits gift set?
So we also have the fortunate ability to kind of follow suit with what Gary Erickson and Pete Crawford have done with Cliff Bar, and that is to really kind of create an adventuresome palate that really kind of caters to not only from endurance and sports, but for us, this is really kind of caters to the lifestyle of what we have in regards to our food and wine series. So these are just 2 pouches of savory nut mixes that we do procure. We have a total of 5, but in this particular set, we're basically matching 2 of our savory nut mixes. This is a rosemary roasted pistachio and almond. And we also have a maple curry cashew and peanut. Both of these flavors were basically selected to pair with the 2 wines that will be in the set as well. And without stealing the thunder from Laura, I'll let her speak to those wines. But this is essentially what we've chosen for those.
Great. Laura, can you talk about pairing the products that John was just speaking of and the wines? So how do the ingredients and flavorings in the nuts help with the wine, enhance each product?
Sure. So the Brut Blanc, this is the 2018 Brut Blanc that stands for the white road, which is a very common phrase that Gary uses both kind of professionally and personally about taking that white road on the map or the road less traveled. So this is 100% Sauvignon Blanc, and it's made from 2 vineyards right here in the Napa Valley. One is just about a mile up the road here in St. Helena, and the other one is down in the town of Yountville, which is kind of the center of the valley. And both of those vineyards are farmed organically, so this wine is made from 100% organically farmed grapes. which is a really important component in our farming practices here at Cliff Family. And we chose this wine to pair with the maple curry cashews. This to me is what I would call a contrast pairing. So it's where two flavors that are slightly different come together in a really positive way. So you have a very fruity, clean, crisp, acid-driven, aromatic Sauvignon Blanc that doesn't have a lot of influence from any oak or other winemaking factors. And you pair it with the cashews, which are really creamy and with a little bit of spice. And it's a really beautiful contrast pairing where the two flavors that are very different come together in your palate. The second wine that we have is the Climber. This is another one of our Adventure Series wines. And this is a Merlot Cabernet kind of Bordeaux style blend. This is the 2017 vintage. And this wine is paired with the roasted almonds and pistachios. And this is what I would call a more of a comparative pairing where you have two flavors that are slightly similar. Almonds can be a little bit more tannic, and you pair those with the tannins in the wine. You have a little bit of spice from the pistachios, really beautiful rosemary character. And those are all rosemary and dried herbs and are very common descriptors in Bordeaux varietals as it is. So this is a really nice pairing where you have two flavors that are quite similar coming together for a really nice food and wine pairing experience.
Can you talk about that word tannins? A lot of people, listening, hopefully want to be educated about that wine. And, talk about tannins. I know working just a little bit in the industry, there were some cheaper wines that will add tannins where an organic wine like yourself just occurs naturally. Talk about the difference between doing it right, the way you guys do it, and then mass production that, is $2 a bottle. Talk about the quality, the difference.
Sure. Just so everyone can kind of get the definition and the sensation of what tannin is. So when you're drinking wine and you feel something that's kind of tart and it makes you salivate, and it's that sour flavor, that's acid in wine. And there's acid in all wine. Wine is a very acidic drink. Tannin is that very dry feeling so when somebody says, I like a dry wine, and it means that they have that kind of dusty, powdery, dried sensation on their palate. So that's what tannin is. And tannin comes from the skin of the grape. So red wines have more tannin because when we ferment on the skins for an extended period of time, where white wine is made just from the juice. We also pick up tannin from oak barrels. So at Cliff Family, we're aging all of our wines in French oak barrels, and we'll pick up some tannin from that. So the combination and how they play against each other or with each other, with the tannin from the grape and the tannin from the barrel, is all part of the very deliberate efforts of the winemaker. So we don't add any tannin, any artificial type tannin. There are many alternative oak and alternative additives that you can add to wine. And a lot of those processes are done on the very large scale wines that they're trying to keep the price point down, because extended fermentation, high quality grapes, French oak barrels are all very expensive components to wine. So when you're trying to make wine like a $2 chuck or something that you can get for $10 a bottle, they have to get creative with other methods of tannin infusion, so to speak. So that's going to be the avenue and the style that's coming from those additives. But in our winemaking world, we're growing high quality grapes in an amazing AVA, and we're really aiming for that higher quality experience.
Great, thank you. Well said. So, John, you're looking lean. Head chef. A lot of head chefs you see, and you never want to trust a skinny chef. They said that in the Coast Guard. And yet, you actually have leaned out. You did the Napa 9 a few years ago. Another one of Rebecca Kacha, Ride Napa Valley's great events. And Napa 9 goes I think 120 miles up and down 9 of the steepest hills in the valley. You and the great Whit Raymond were our sweep athletes, and you never thought you'd see your 3 kids again, I think, that night. But you made it. Talk about what it's been like since that August 2017 afternoon, evening. and you know what it's been like. You've got Chef Cycle coming up, and No Kid Hungry, as well as the Wahoo Sufferfest, and a great 44-day free program for our CampoVelo watchers today. Talk about what's happening and what you're going to do tomorrow.
So I think during this whole COVID-19 aspect, of course, you know, with the way that life essentially kind of slowed down to a halt, my initial thought was, oh, this is a great excuse to get back out on the bike. Though I was kind of struggling with getting out the door, but I can say with confidence that that sense has been resolved. So I've been getting out as often as I can. Obviously, this time of year is a great reminder for the extra available light in the evening that I can kind of bike in and to and from work each day, which is always a great blessing. But beyond that, I've had to reverse my psychology a little bit, Eric. I've also said that I would ride to eat what I would like to. Nowadays, it's quite essential to ride just to burn off all the excess alcohol that I'm consuming these days. So that's slightly changed. But I will say, for
That's okay.
the amount of riding to be done, yeah, you know, it's all about balance, right? I've also just over the winter was fortunate enough to purchase a dirt bike, and by that I mean a gravel bike. So I'm now
Nice.
opened up a whole new world to kind of get out with mixed terrain, and I've really been able to kind of explore some of the roads that really kind of inhibited me via road bike. So now it's like I have a winter bike and a regular season bike. So just last week I put a segment titled "Breaking the Porsche Out of the Garage," because I've revisited riding the road bike again, and that's been a great blessing. And obviously, just because of the weather that we're having too, it's another reminder that yeah, these longer days, warmer weather, it's very well suitable for the longer rides on the road bike. So tomorrow, I was able to talk to Rebecca. I'm going to administer some pain, and I'm going to do a ride segment via Sufferfest, which obviously everybody has access to now as a free trial. But the ride is titled Nine Hammers. And the opening segment, of which Rebecca was quite tickled by, was sometimes you're the hammer and sometimes you're the nail. So
Yes.
I'm thoroughly excited by that, but I'm going to put myself to the ringer tomorrow for about 58 minutes of hard riding, and I'll be able to give some details and share some information there.
Excellent. Yeah, sometimes you're the hammer and sometimes you're the nail, and sometimes, like tomorrow, John, you're both the hammered and the
Yeah.
nailed. So yeah, a series of 9 different intervals, all at or above threshold. So yeah, the workout starts 59 minutes. You got to go hard. All right. So yeah, the code for that is THESUF. So the SUF. So the first 3 letters of suffer. The THE and then SUF.com /all in. And that'll give you a 44-day, 4-week program. You get 14 days anyways free, and then an additional 30 days free on Wahoo with the code THESUF.com /all caps all in ALLIN. The last 5 letters all caps. The other ones.
Now, Eric,
really.
Your next segment, Laura has an announcement, and I'm probably going to get kicked under the table for this, but she also has something to announce to the cycling world.
We have an announcement. Breaking news. Laura Barrett, Cliff Family Winery. Please go on.
I was just telling John before this interview here that I just purchased my first real bike. So maybe my answer to have you been out?
John Robertson, Napa Valley Sheriff, please be advised. We need help up here in St. Helena.
Here, I have more to say about my cycling efforts. So. That's it. Thanks, John.
I got kicked under the table.
You couldn't have a better family of supporters between John and Gary and Kit and all of us. We'll take care of you. One village. So what is now we all have to step up and take care of each other and think about small companies and big companies. Gary and Kit, I'm going to give you the opportunity, a little open mic. You talked about organic ingredients for your wine a little bit ago, but I heard a rumor that Gary and Kit have bought 800 million tons of raw organic materials in the last few years for all the different products that Cliff makes, from the bars to the gels to everything. Talk about what it's like to have the leadership that those two give. And we all know Kit leads there and Gary follows well behind. But talk about what it's like to work for Kit and Gary and the family that is Cliff.
start with that. It's an amazing experience. My experience prior to working with Cliff Family Winery is that most wineries will say, most winery owners will say, oh, it's just too hard, or it's too expensive, or there's too much risk in farming organically. And it's really refreshing and so amazing to work for a family and a company that makes it a priority. We wouldn't do it any other way. We just purchased a new vineyard in the Ognall district of Napa Valley, which was planted a little less than a year ago, and that is 80 acres. And we have planted all of that 100% organically, and it will be farmed that way. And it's just to have that support and to have that enthusiasm, and it's the backbone of the company. It's a critical factor, and it's just how we do it. It makes it just makes it so real, and it makes it feel so supported, and we all feel kind of safe and comfortable, and we know we're doing the right thing. So it improves morale, and I think it supports us in a million different ways, at least from a farming perspective. Talk about that from a purchasing.
I think for those who really are conscious of what they put in their bodies, and obviously for Laura and myself, we're kind of producing a product that is consumed. It's easy for us to kind of adapt what we would want to do for our own household, but when you could scale that up to a business model, it becomes obviously a lot more challenging to do so. But to Laura's point, to basically have the leadership and also the individual ownership to administer to those organic principles, it makes our job a lot easier. And I think these are values that we all ambitiously would like to adopt. But once again, scaling it into a business model becomes a bit more difficult or challenging because there's always a cost and a risk factor to that. For us, we knew essentially when we started with a culinary operation in the Bruschetteria, the food truck, we were already working with an amazing resource from our certified organic farm. So that really kind of set the tone as to what we were going to do from resourcing. And for us, and this is very much in tune to what Kit and Gary's business practices are, is supporting other small local like-minded businesses as well. So selfishly, we could try to produce everything internally, but the reality of the matter is that there are other businesses that need our support too. So to support a organic livestock farm that's been in operation for 5 generations, there's something very selfless about that. And of course, you want to see to their success as well. So when you start adapting those fundamental principles into cooking and resourcing, and then sharing those in turn with your local community, it makes our job a lot easier to do so. And I think the story sells itself, but beyond that, the proof is in the pudding.
For those of us just joining us, we are live, CampoVelo Virtual. Laura Barrett, John McConnell from Cliff Family Winery. I'm Eric Gilsonen. We're about halfway through our segment. We've got about a half an hour to go or so. Laura, in the past, you talked about, not taking a chance. Talk about, some of the chances, that Cliff has been able to, take and, work out on. I heard recently, and of course, we're going to be 5 to 6 tomorrow. We've got food demonstrations, and then 5 to 6 on Sunday. 5 to 6 on Sunday after we have Chris Cosentino and Jeff Mahan on Saturday. We're going to have Gary and Kit on Sunday. Just before we get into John and the Wahoo training and what's next for you guys, just talk about I heard that hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and Cliff Bar were some of the top 3 items that supermarket retailers were asked for in the last 2 months. Is that true? So talk about, what it's like just to work for, a company that has.
Yeah, we work for a company that's in producing a product that's in very high demand. It's a good feeling. But as far as the supermarkets and what's going on around here, yeah, there's a shortage of those things for sure. In this small little town, the food supply is having a hard time keeping up. And as far as your question about risk, and I think that our Mother Nature is a really a very high risk scenario. We're always dependent in the great part of the world on what's happening with Mother Nature. So I think that every year we're always taking some risk in the field, and that's part of our job as vineyard managers is to predict what we can and make careful, cautious decisions and good decisions for quality, but also good decisions for risk taking. So we try to balance those two, and it's oftentimes it's we've had a 5 or 6 years of pretty amazing vintages back to back. So we're on a pretty good run, but occasionally we get a year where we get a lot of rain and it becomes a little more challenging. But for the most part, I think we're doing a good job rolling the dice.
Awesome. John, a few months ago, we were planning a lot of different demonstrations, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We were going to have different wine demonstrations, cooking demonstrations. And one of the demonstrations we had planned was that you and Gary were going to make a Cliff Bar right there, right then and there from, scratch. How was that demonstration going? And, you can just whip up a bar like that anytime, no problem? Or if you have advanced.
So unfortunately, Eric, unfortunately, that's a highly protected recipe. So I've yet to even lay eyes on any particular recipe for it. So I think that was going to be kind of ad-libbed on the moment, just really to protect the recipe in its entirety. Honestly, as much as I love to start that process, I just don't know if we have, Gary and I have our ducks in a row to kind of figure what that looks like. I'm also kind of terrified to do so because, if it happens to be slightly better, then I might have put myself in a different position. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, getting the whole almond in that blueberry crisp is really nice. When you're out there riding and you get the whole almond, that's just really primo out there. All right. Well, let's talk about that workout tomorrow with that Wahoo Indoor. They have now, we found in the 4 years of CampoVelo that not all the partners of our core riders like to ride. So we had yoga and we had walking, and next year we'll even have more when we go back live. But I'm going to read this from Wahoo. This is from Natalie Scarpello, the channel marketing manager. Wahooligans, the current global health crisis is impacting all of our lives in profound, unimaginable ways. Our thoughts go out to everyone who has been personally affected by the pandemic. While we all know that there are far more important things than smashing the next workout or getting PRs on your next local climb, as athletes, we also know that there is comfort, solace, and meaning to be found in exercise. In these extraordinary circumstances, it can be challenging to stay strong and positive, especially while training indoors, practicing social responsibilities with social distancing. The Wahoo Sports Science team has spent the past several days tackling this problem. To help all of you thrive through this challenging time, a CampoVelo deal, we've created an all-in series, the series of all-in training plans. They're comprehensive, structured 4-week training plans. They're designed specifically to be done indoors to help improve your overall fitness, learn new mental training skills, and build a foundation for further development. And they've created 4 different options. 1, of course, cycling focused plan. Number 2, for those swim, bike, and run triathlon guys, those triathletes, gotta try that sometime. And then there's number 3, yoga and strength training plans. And then number 4 is just a yoga badge collector plans. So Wahoo has gone out of their way to give the triathletes, the yoga people, and cyclists a free deal for 44 days. And that's THESUF.com in small font, and then backslash, and then the last 5 letters, capitals, ALL, all in. So THESUF.com backslash all in, the last 5 letters of that being all in caps, the other one small. So there you go. So John, you're going to get out there 50. Looking forward to it. Are you going to be going to bed early tonight? You got what's your dinner plans tonight? You're just going to go 59 minutes hard?
59 minutes hard. I'm going to get there with as little preparation time to set up. Actually, my bike is already in the trainer, so it's actually going to be relatively easy and turnkey to just hop on the bike and start at it. The thing that will likely be missing for me is just the initial adrenaline from the start line with a group of riders. But this program doesn't really allow you to rest on your laurels. You really have to follow along with it. So if anything, I feel like it's actually pushing you harder than you would do it self-involved or self-oriented. But I think in this case, we'll see. I jokingly told Rebecca that the sound of 9 hammers sounds painful, and it likely is. And I'm going to definitely take a before and after shot per her request, and I'll share that via social media. I'm also going to link up the ride to Strava, so I'll be able to share that same photos afterwards as well, so we could all kind of laugh to some extent. It's humbling.
Great. You know, with this new normal we've got after coronavirus, quality of life is really becoming apparent. And a lot of people that have put off things for years, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. Creating experiences, that's what this valley, that is what this event is all about. People like to drink wine. People like to eat good food. People like to ride in quality areas like where we're at in Napa. You know, the building of community. What can we do, the viewers that are out there listening today, tomorrow, and Sunday with our 3-day virtual CampoVelo, what can we do? We're in the Napa area. They come up 29. You're on the left side heading north. When you drop into Cliff Family Winery, you see the green food truck. You walk inside. If your tires are low, you've got a floor pump. If you need water, Cliff shots. You know, what is the Cliff Family Winery in between A&W and Gott's? What can we find inside the friendly confines of that green building?
I think at the top of the list is certainly our unscripted hospitality. I think we also organically have come to offer a product beyond something that's just consumable. And that's really just the genuine nature of the staff that we have at the wheel. Everybody genuinely wants to be here and also are truly excited and passionate about sharing the story and the experience with everybody. So I think by default, we've created something that has its own culture and has its own unique followers. And for us, really, it's just kind of continuing to establish that brand and continue to tell the story and really just to keep the passion that high. And I think for us, the things that we look forward to are almost weekly of every year, whether it's a new release that Laura has just created or came off the bottling line for purchase or sale, a new dish that we're featuring on the food truck, a new flight that we're offering inside of our tasting room, a new team member or an older team member, and really just the reconnection of the relationships we've developed along the years. Our club members, there's a lot really at stake that keeps us really engaged and excited to be here.
What's open right now, Laura? The food truck, you've got curbside. Talk about what people can do to patronize your product, as well as other companies around the Napa Valley area.
Sure. So our tasting room is officially closed at the moment, but we are doing curbside pickup. So you can either call or order a wine online and schedule to pick that up just at the tasting room door. The food truck,
that would be for food or wine? What would that be for?
That would be for wine or any of our packaged food products, such as jams or nuts or chocolates. Then as far as the food truck goes, the food truck itself is not, the green truck unfortunately is missing from the scene right now. It's not open on the street level, but the kitchen is open, and we are doing a menu that is also posted on our website, cliffamily.com, on a daily basis, Wednesday through Sunday from 12 to 6, and that's also curbside pickup. And then another really fun and unique experience that we're offering is virtual tastings. So we have a couple of team members that typically would be selling wine in the tasting room and be that face of the hospitality that we're so used to. They're actually connecting with people through Zoom, and it can be one-on-one, or it can be just one of us and a group of friends. And we ship you the wines and the samples. It can be just wine, or it can be a food and wine pairing. And we're walking you through this tasting experience virtually. So it's been a really nice way to engage with customers. And we actually think that it's something that we will continue to do for quite some time, even beyond the current situation.
Great. And you're a great mother. You got a mother. You've got 2 kids, and John's wife has 4 kids. Him and the other 3 younger ones. Mother's Day coming up, 9 days away. Thank God for Mother's Day. Thank you to all the mothers out there. Couldn't be here without you. But what do you got? You've got different packages. Obviously, the Adventure Awaits gift set. Anything underneath the Cliff Family Winery makes it great. Mother's Day gift for cyclists and wine lovers and food lovers. So there's underneath that roof, there's something for every mother, right? Talk about the options for Mother's Day.
So on Sunday, we're going to offer a select menu of about 5 items to kind of recreate the brunch. Obviously, it's been a very popular aspect of taking your mother or mom, wife out to brunch on Sundays for Mother's Day. We're going to offer that curbside pickup as well with a limited menu, as I had mentioned earlier. And in addition to that, we also have some promos and also some packages that we're going to, if you look on, or if anybody follows Cliff Family via social media, whether Facebook or Instagram, and we also have an email to go out to our friendly list as well. There's also some promos in regards to the experience packages that they could also have ordered for mothers as well.
Awesome. So with a lot of people, John, as a chef, a lot of people are afraid to, cook just in general, when so many people now are sheltering in place. They are, going out, but they're also trying to cook. Any advice for people in general? Obviously, integrating Cliff Family Winery ingredients and wine is going to enhance any meal. But can you just talk as a chef, overcoming some of the fears of, the unknown? Making a mistake in the kitchen, and there are no mistakes in the kitchen. Talk about some of the things you maybe made a mistake, but found that maybe they taste better a little burned. Who knows?
So Eric, a funny story about that. I would say a couple years ago, I come to the realization that for those in our profession that are considered masters, now have video online that can be Googled or YouTubed to recreate some of their life's work in their own home kitchen. And through this aspect, it really dawned on me that somebody of a younger generation could give their whole entire weekend to pursuing the master craft of somebody else to try to duplicate or execute this at home. And it really kind of, I struggled to accept that to an extent, because it really kind of, people spend a lifetime trying to perfect or craft this. What's also been humbling about this whole pandemic and also COVID-19 is when you actually see the food that people are posting, and by no means, I want everybody to continue to cook at home, and I think it's great for everybody to be able to nourish their families and themselves at home. The food has not been as pretty as I would imagine it to be. I'm saying that as nicely as possible, but it's given me the ability to still find purpose in the kitchen and obviously job security. So people keep on cooking. I don't want to diminish your efforts there, but it definitely gives me a little bit more job security knowing that we invested our future into this profession, and I feel good about that.
Don't try to
Great.
do
We
your
got
own
about
wine
10.
It's pretty messy.
Awesome. We got about 10 more minutes to go. Laura, when people come up and they look at the wine and they wonder, I could go to different retailers, and like you said, there was a retailer that will sell a bottle of wine for under $2 or around there. But why, why buy the Cliff wine? Just talk about that just for a few moments, and then we'll wrap it.
Yeah, I think our brand at Cliff Family Winery gives you many reasons to choose ours. I think first and foremost, quality. I think we offer amazing quality, even at a value here in the Napa Valley. I mean, though our wines are not in that lower price point range, they're quite reasonable and valuable for the Napa Valley. So quality is definitely number one. I think we offer a very wide range of varietals. So I make 6 different white wines, including a rosé of Grenache, and many different red wines as well. So we have a wide range, and there's always something for everybody, whether you like a dry Gewürztraminer or a richer Viognier or a very fresh and fruit-driven Sauvignon Blanc, all the way, in the range of styles in the red winemaking category, from a very lightly colored Grenache all the way to kind of a very deep, dark, inky Petite Syrah and everything in between. So we have a great variety, and everything is made with such passion and such motivation for sustainability that that's really the icing on the cake. You can buy our products and know that we're getting things that are made sustainably, sustainable farming, and decisions that are for the better of the people and the brand and the planet. So as a package deal, I think we have so much to offer, many different ways.
Yeah, and that's been Gary and Kit's vision for years. They were the first to put organic products in any energy bar for sure. As a mom, you got Mother's Day coming up. You got two great kids at home watching, I'm sure. Talk about No Kid Hungry and Chef Cycle. We'll talk to John about that because he's actually done Chef Cycle with Chris Cosentino. But talk about that, Laura. It breaks my heart. I always make sure my son Max always has as much food as possible. He eats about 8,000 calories a day as a 17-year-old. But talk about that and how important it is to convert having a 3-day event like this, but the impact that, yeah, we have fun, we ride bikes, make jokes, have good food, but we make a positive financial impact on kids that do not have as much food. And in fact, 1 in 6 kids were hungry before, but now because of COVID, it's 1 in 4. So that's really not good. We need to make sure we convert our sweat and our passion of cycling and fun into a positive impact on kids. Talk about Chef Cycle and No Kid Hungry.
I think that here in the Napa Valley, we are so fortunate for everything that we have, whether it be a good school district or a healthy economy or an environment where we can grow a lot of the things that we want to eat in our gardens because of great weather. There are so many things that we feel so fortunate to have. And the Napa Valley is also a great place for philanthropy. So we see this within our own business with Cliff Family Winery. We are a company that loves to give, to donate, to participate in a lot of organizations. But giving back is such a critical piece of what we do. These benefits are very motivating, and I think all of us feel really proud and happy to be supporting them.
And then Eric, I think what the program No Kid Hungry offers is it really kind of, and to Laura hit the nail on the head too, I think we take for granted that we have access to foods that are much more nutritious. We have an abundance of choices, whether we're choosing to purchase conventional versus organic. These are the decisions that are kind of harder from a consumer standpoint from where we live. But there are certain areas in our community and or within our state, within our country, that are isolated from the options of accessibility and purchase decisions. And these so-called food deserts are very difficult to crop a young generation or even a home mother and father to basically make the right decisions of nutrition for their family. And so what No Kid Hungry does is basically infiltrate these areas to really offer the difference a dollar can make significantly, can feed several children who are kind of at these at-risk areas and also in a lower income household. They might be in a single mother or a single father household. And certainly the school programs that they visit, because of where they're located within an inner city district, are not as well funded. So what No Kid Hungry does is certainly does not leave any children behind from a nutritional standpoint, and really through the generous donations of everybody else who can contribute to this program, really kind of feeds the hearts and the minds of these young children so they're better able to position themselves to learn better, more focused, and also just to benefit their overall morale and mental health as well.
Yeah, but Gary and Kit have always been good about donating those Z bars and kids Z ropes, etc. that the Cliff family makes. Laura, favorite memory of your past CampoVelos? I think you were with us last year, correct? Rebecca Koch, she puts on these events. People come and go, and but there's been a lot of fun in the last 1,000 days here at CampoVelo. Talk about your favorite memory of CampoVelo in the past, how it brought people together and made an impact.
Absolutely. My favorite memory. Yeah, I do. Last year, we did a dinner at Tamar Bay, and there were some amazing chefs and some amazing wines, and each wine was paired with a chef's course. And I got the chance to speak to all of our wines, and there were some amazing athletes, and it was a beautiful evening and a beautiful meal, and a really memorable experience. So
Yeah, I think that was 6 courses, and you had 2 of the 6 courses, right, for wine?
I did, yeah. I
That was
spoke a
really
couple
good.
times. If I don't know if anybody remembers, but I had a broken leg, so I was hobbling around on crutches. But it was a really, really great evening.
Awesome. Just a minor flesh wound. Okay, John, memory. Well, you've been here. You've been on all 3, now 4 CampoVelos. What's your favorite, just fun Rebecca or CampoVelo fun story with Gary?
I think every weekend, and it's a significant amount of time and energy and effort goes into coordinating this. And I know that Rebecca Koch should certainly be a saint savior for what it takes to basically organize these events. And obviously, my hat goes off to her because she creates these memorable, or allows us the arena to share these memorable experiences. So each and every time there's a social aspect to enjoying the passions, whether it's the intersect of food, wine, and also cycling, and even the charity aspect of it, and too, how all of us come together as a community or support a community. That to me also trumps everything, and it's really kind of the validation that you feel after the event is done. Of course, I want it to start up next week, but of course, we all need to have some break from it all. But my favorite memory last year, there was a ride on Saturday, and we were pushing up the trail. I basically had only wanted to be a domestique to lead everybody out to the halfway point, and then from there I was going to drop off because I had essentially pushed myself to the point of no return. And I remember just kind of looking back and still being in the peloton, and you have Lucas User and Ivan the Rocket basically with his hand in my small of my back, kind of pushing me up the hill, being like, "Don't give up, don't give up, you still got this," and ushering me all the way back to St. Louis, kind of keeping with the peloton. That was a special moment for me. But then you look back at your Strava segment, and every segment is PR, 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 PR. I'll never be able to touch that, not even come close. But that was such a fun and engaging moment too, to really kind of keep in the peloton of those special riders, and also just the memory that that created for me.
And that's the beauty of this Cliff CampoVelo is you have an ex-professional cyclist like Lucas User, proud father of I think 2 now, and he works for Cliff. And then you've got Ivan Dominguez, former Tour of California stage winner, professional cyclist, and now an aspiring triathlete. So the Cuban Missile pushing you up the hill with Lucas, yeah, that's PR all day. Okay, we got about 3 more minutes to go. Laura, what was the last book that you read?
Oh, great! Yes, I just finished Just Mercy, and it was an
Yeah.
amazing true story. And the movie is next, so I'm going to watch that hopefully this week.
John, last book you read?
So I finished a book called Natural Wine, and also have been picking up another book on wine science that was just published as well from an Australian author. And then there's another book that I want to ambitiously start to read, which is called One Straw Revolution. It's a book about regenerative farming, and the author basically kind of gave his life to kind of the aspects of what that means from organic principles, but beyond. So there's some application there too.
Well done, well done. I thought one of your favorite experiences was going to be Saturday night at the track up in Calistoga wearing that wig last year, but that's okay. We'll get into that later. Okay, binge watch. Laura, binge watch. Do you do any of that binge watching? 8 segments, I'll share.
I usually fall, so I'm not a great binge watcher, but I did.
Me neither.
I was down with my interest here. I watched Ozark from start to finish, season 1 and season 2. So I may get into that again because it's a 3rd season out. But yeah, I'm not a huge TV person.
Okay, I understand. John, binge watch? You just have the 3 kids. That's it.
Yeah, that's my binge watching. Now, with more downtime at home, I recently picked up, now that we have access to stream old HBO programs, but The Sopranos from the beginning. I've yet to see any of those episodes, so I've unearthed a vault of great watching. So I just started, I'm almost through season 1, and of course it's great, so more to come.
Well, thank you guys so much. Laura Barrett, originally from Massachusetts. John McConnell, originally from parts unknown. We'll figure that out, in a few years on a long ride. Thank you guys so much. Please check out thesuf.com/all in for a free 44-day program from Wahoo. Remember, tomorrow from 5 to 6, get ready to learn and laugh a lot with Chris Cosentino, our favorite gregarious chef extraordinaire, will walk us through some of his favorite stay-at-home dishes and share tips to maximize your pantry. Rumor has it that Jeff Mayhem might be popping in to keep an eye on things, and that's from 5 to 5:30, and then 5:30 to 6, and then 5:30 to 6, that'll be where we'll have sweet things from chocolatiers, Chris Kohler, and the great pastry chef Cara Lynn from Cara's Cupcakes. So that concludes day one of our three-day virtual CampoVelo. Laura Barrett, John McConnell, thank you very much. Other than that, I want to thank Brian, Captain Kirk, David, and John from our tech support. Of course, Candace, without hospitality, there's no hospitality without Candace at the Cliff Family Winery. She is Wikipedia's definition of hospitality. We love you, Candace. Thank you. On behalf of Rebecca Koch, we will see you tomorrow, 5 to 6, for 4 great chefs. And then, of course, remember, 5 to 6 on Sunday with Kit and Gary from Cliff Bar. So that's it. That's a wrap. Strike the set. We hope you had a good time. We hope you learned a little something. My name's Eric Gilson, and for now, have a great night. From deep in the heart of the Carneros region in my garage, good night now.